Let's go. Hello and welcome to the February monthly meeting for Corangamite Shire. I'm Mayor Kate Makin and I'll introduce my fellow councillors around the table. I have Deputy Mayor Laurie Hickey, Councillor Ruth Castrain, Councillor Joe Beard, Councillor Geraldine Canady, Councillor Jamie Bogles and Councillor Nick Cole. Also around the table we have directors and officers. We have Mr Sean Broadbent, Director of Works and Services, Miss Justine Lindley, Director of Sustainable Development, Miss Kerry James, Coordinator of Community Programs, Mr Xavier Flanagan, Director of Corporate and Community Services, Mr Parath Jawaradanda, Manager of Finance, and Imogen Black, Acting Manager of Governance and Civic Support, and also our CEO, Mr David Ray. Now things are looking a little bit different. We've taken our video in-house, so the great team of council staff are doing the videoing this time round, so bear with us if there's a few technical incidents, but I'm sure there won't be because our council staff are great at what they do. First up, we have the prayer. We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us who serve as leaders to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interest of our people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. Corangamite Shire Council acknowledges and pays our respects to the Eastern Maar and the Wadawurrung people. As the traditional owners of the lands that we work, live and play, we also acknowledge their elders, past and present, and acknowledge their ongoing cultural, spiritual and educational practices. We have no apologies. We have no conflicts of interest. I'll move on to number 5. It's the confirmation of minutes on the 27th of January 2026. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady, Councillor Cole, all those in favour? Carried, thank you. There is no deputations or presentations today. Just looking in the gallery to make sure. Nope, already. I'll keep on moving. So I'll move on to item 7.2, the committee reports, which is the Audit and Risk Committee self-assessment for 2025. Mr Flanagan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report, the purpose of this report is for the Chief Executive Officer to table the results of the Audit and Risk Committee's annual assessment as required by Section 54(4)(b) of the Local Government Act 2020. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Flanagan. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Canady. Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The Audit and Risk Committee helps council stay on track by overseeing financial reports, risk management, governance and its charter. And it is set out, as is set out in the Local Government Act 2020. The Act requires that the committee complete an annual performance assessment against its charter. This was conducted in February 26, and as often the case, many of us, including myself, tend to be conservative of how we actually rate our performance. But I think you'd see that the overall results are very good, and that's not to say that there won't be areas that we can improve within our performance. However, it's been very positive, and it demonstrates that the committee is performing very well and is addressing the matters on its charter. Certainly, the plan does line up with the council plan of 25 to 29, showing strong civic leadership and being financially responsible. So, yeah, I'm very happy to move this recommendation, this report be tabled and accepted.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I don't have a lot to add to what Councillor Hickey has said. I just note that all the important elements have been noted in that report in relation to continuity and all of those matters. Sorry, do you know what? I've lost my notes on that particular thing. I'm reading the wrong one, but I do recall I noted that oh, sorry, just give me a moment.
Sure.
I sound like I was disconnected, don't I? I did note that that most of the measures were actually trending upward, which I thought was a pleasing thing, and also that there were some requests. The committee actually, I think, particularly noted that there was some strategic change that they wanted to see through their work. They were looking at the approach to strategic risk, and that it required revision. And I'm glad that they're taking that cautious approach about strategic risk, because it's obviously a very important component of that committee's work, and obviously very important to council to know that we've got the right advice around that, and that the committee is, very connected with how the corporate environment's changing, and that they're giving us that guidance that we need. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Well done. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.3 is the Audit and Risk Committee Independent Member reappointment. Mr Flanagan as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report seeks Council's approval to extend Ms Philippa D's appointment as an independent member of the Audit and Risk Committee for a further 3-year term, commencing from the date of Council's resolution. Mayor, the recommendation is before.
Thank you, Mr Flanagan. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrange, second by Councillor Higgie. Councillor Castrange.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think this is a great appointment of Philippa D for a further 3 years. She has been past chair of the Audit and Risk Committee, and as Councillor Hickey mentioned earlier in the previous item, what an important role the Audit and Risk Committee play for our council. This also provides continuity and the sharing of the withholding of the knowledge that Ms D has accumulated over the past few years. And it also helps us with orderly succession planning so that we can stagger the succession for our independent members. So I have served on the committee with her and found her to be an excellent member, and I think this is really a good thing for the council to extend her term.
Thank you, Councillor Castrange. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, thank you. The only thing I'd add to what Councillor Castrange says is that as far as succession planning goes, this is a very on balance, low risk option, low cost. She's already got the required skills. She's already been trained and is well and truly above all the or au fait with all the governance requirements. So she has been a very valuable member, and it seems a logical explanation to just continue with her reappointment. So we congratulate her, and having served with her for a number of years too, and recently as chair, she's a very valuable member, a very easy to approach too. I think you'd agree. So happy to second this.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.4, appointment of Audit and Risk Committee Chair, Mr Flanagan as well.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. In accordance with the Audit and Risk Committee Charter, the Audit and Risk Committee has voted unanimously to appoint Lisa Young to the position of chairperson. This recommendation is that Council notes the appointment of Lisa Young. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Flanagan. Councillors, as a recommendation, do I have a mover, please? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. For people who don't know Lisa Jane Young, she is a remarkable lady. We're very fortunate to have her on our committee. She brings 20 years' experience in intelligence and risk management, having served in senior roles across the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, the Tax Office, New South Wales Police and the private sector. And Lisa's also co-author of Managing Intelligence, The Art of Influence, a landmark text that has shaped the organisations to manage intelligence functions. She's got a very progressive, a very impressive career, and she's also demonstrated a great ability to be able to bring strategy with people together as well. She has shown that she is a perfect fit for what's required as a chair. And she's also, the other thing I was going to say is that on appointing Lisa as a chair, I think we all should acknowledge the dedication and the steadfast leadership that Philippa D has shown over the last 12 months as well. So, yeah, very happy to have Ms Young as a chair, and looking forward to serving under her for at least 1 year.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Lisa is a really excellent appointment as chairperson. I worked with Lisa in the first term of council, and she has considerable skill and insight. Very, very impressive, real expertise and capability. So she'll be an excellent chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to planning reports. So 8.1, planning permit application PP 2023/083, 206 Timboon Colac Road, Jancourt East, 2-lot subdivision. Miss Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report outlines an assessment of planning permit application PP 2023-083, seeking approval for a 2-lot subdivision which includes an excision of a dwelling at 206 Timboon Colac Road, Jancourt East. The application proposes the creation of a small lot to excise the existing dwelling from the balance farmland. The site has a total of approximately 75.18 hectares and consists of an irregular shaped allotment with frontage to the Timboon Colac Road to the north. It also contains 1 existing dwelling, an unused dairy, 2 sheds, a small garage along with associated water tanks, gardens, fencing and access from the Timboon Colac Road. 2 easements benefiting the State Electricity Commission, which are now managed by Powercor, are located within the site. Single width windrow plantings of cypress to the south and east of the dwelling, and there is a smaller planting on the western side of the site. The farm is used as a beef cattle farm and for fodder production. The land falls away from the Timboon Colac Road and contains 2 dams and a watercourse which flows through the site into Scotts Creek. The site and surrounding properties are in the farming zone and partly located within the bushfire management overlay. The Jancourt Nature Conservation Reserve is located on the north side of the Timboon Colac Road and is located within the public conservation and resource zone. Land sizes in the area are similar to the subject site, and the land is relatively unfragmented in that surroundings. The house lot excisions and smaller lots comprising rural residential development aren't typical of the locality, but they do exist on the adjoining lot to the east and along the Lavers Hill Cobden Road further to the south. The nearest township is Simpson, which is located 6.3 kilometres to the south of the site, and the application was put on notice and with no objections received, and council has attended a site inspection with the applicant present. The application has been assessed against the Corangamite planning scheme. The assessment indicates that the proposed subdivision, which creates an isolated rural residential lot within the farming zone, provides no enhancement of agricultural production and does not provide an acceptable response to the relevant strategic direction, planning policy and controls of the planning scheme. Therefore, officers are recommending that the council issue a notice of decision to refuse to grant a permit. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Miss Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Castrain, Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Mayor. I do support the recommendation before us. Sorry, I do support the recommendation that's before us. We've had a number of these 2-lot subdivisions or applications come before us. The issues that have been raised in the report as to fragmentation, land use conflict, right to farm and productive agricultural uses, they are very, very important issues to consider and have formed part of our planning policy framework with regard to agricultural land for some time. I noticed when we did our site visit, the worker housing argument was brought forward, which it very often is, and it is somewhat valid. But I believe that the issues that I've just stated pose a far greater risk to our long-term planning than the potential loss of a home that could have been used for worker housing. And when we're talking about planning, it's long-term is where our focus ought to be, because that's what the planning is about. It's about long-term, visionary, forward-thinking planning to ensure that we make the right decisions for the Shire of Corangamite. Our MPS and our PPF have evolved through experience and over time to manage the risks that have been mentioned. And I mean, I've only mentioned a few, there's more that have been noted in the report. To manage these, the rural and residential lot development in the farming zone. And, because of the risks that have been noted over time, that's one of the reasons that those types of lots are discouraged in the farming zone. There is no way of knowing if any occupant of a property would understand the agricultural environment, but the risks that are managed through our planning policies are there regardless, and including the potential for additional dwellings on the balanced lot, because that is an as of right, that, the balanced lot, even if the proponent or applicant might say that there is no intention, there's no guarantee that there wouldn't be a dwelling built on the balance block in the future, because it is as of right, as I said. I would draw your attention to the Corangamite Rural Living Strategy that's on page 28 of your report, and also the tribunal findings of the Otway Silver v case, which deal with these considerations that are before us now. I do appreciate the perspectives of the applicant, but I don't think there is an argument that's compelling enough to grant the permit, and we are not removing other choices for the applicant by refusing the permit. But I do believe that we, and I always have, that we do need to respect our planning policy framework, because it has evolved with good reasons. It has evolved through experience, and I think the key aim of it is to protect the farming zone, and I believe it is important that we take careful note of the advice of our planning officers, because they have the expertise and the knowledge. So I do support the recommendation before us.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Gastrein?
I don't like speaking after Councillor Kennedy
No.
because she says everything that you're going to say, so I've just got lots of cross-outs.
Yeah.
I do support the officer's recommendation, Madam Mayor, for exactly the same reasons that Councillor Kennedy has outlined. This subdivision doesn't provide any benefit to agriculture, and in fact it has the potential to create land use conflicts, and not perhaps with the current owner, but in future if somebody moves down that doesn't understand agricultural practices, then it becomes an issue for right to farm when their amenity in a country setting is impacted by farming operations. So this lot would have no direct connection to agriculture. And as we say in our planning documents, these types of subdivisions should be encouraged near townships that can provide the amenity for a rural residential lot, which this would ultimately become.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gastrein. Any other comments? Councillor Hoyles?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I do appreciate the work the officers have put into this assessment, and I absolutely support the importance of protecting our agricultural land. But in this case, I'm not convinced that refusing the applicant achieves a better long-term planning outcome. I think we're not talking here about carving up the land into hobby farm blocks, and this is a two-lot subdivision to excise an existing dwelling that's already there. No new dwelling is being created under this application. The house exists, it's habitable, it's at the front of the property, and it's accessed from an existing bitumen road. And yes, this policy discourages fragmentation, but the policy also allows for house lot excisions where farming can continue unhindered. and where the dwelling is no longer required for agricultural purposes. I think the refusal doesn't strengthen agriculture, it just limits the flexibility of our landowners without a clear agricultural gain. There were no objections and the referral authorities didn't object. Bushfire matters can be managed. Access is existing. We need to be careful that we don't apply policy so rigidly that we remove reasonable discretion built into the farming zone provisions. In my view, this is a modest, contained excision and does not materially undermine agriculture productivity in this locality where it is. And for that reason, I won't be supporting the officer's recommendation to refuse.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any other comments? Councillor Beard?
Lauren was first.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Joe. And I support what Councillor Vogels has just said. I can't see this being an excision that's going to dramatically affect the land around the agricultural area. I do accept the fact that we do have a policy to protect and to respect, and that has been upheld by the recent VCAT hearing on the Otway Sylvan proposal. And I don't believe that there's any intention to rebuild on this place. However, we don't know that's going to happen in the future. So there is a grey area there as far as I'm concerned. But I think by limiting the sale of properties and excisions on such properties, it does limit development from cash generated from sales of small allotments like this. And again, it also allows a younger, more progressive person an opportunity to be able to purchase a block where you may be able to operate a small business from it. So yes, it's I'm not in favour of the report either.
Councillor Beard, sorry.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. And I will note, obviously, the applicant is joining us here in the gallery tonight. So none of this is easy. We've always said our planning decisions are one of the most hardest things as councillors we have to do. But for me, it's fairly straightforward. Whether I like it or not, we have a rule book, a planning scheme, and it's evident by the officer's recommendation and the reports that have gone in here as to how this doesn't align. So, Councillor Hickey, I can acknowledge where you said about the grey area. We can't work in the grey area when it comes to planning. So, and it's hard when we have these planning inspections, and we're very respectful of those planning inspections, and it's where we are able to gain more information around the applications and on their merit. And it's, you know, we always have the best intentions when you hear that things aren't planned, but we can't make decisions based on things aren't planned because we don't know what can happen into the future. So for me, when making decisions, it has to come down to supporting the planning scheme. And in this case, it's going to be with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any other comments? No? Okay. I'll go. It's fine. So a house is being separated from a farming lot. There were no objections received. The authorities said it was okay, and technically the farming zone allows us to consider such an application. But planning decisions are not made on technicalities alone. They are made on strategies, and they are made on long-term outcomes, and they are made with the broader interest of our community. Our municipal planning strategy is clear. It seeks to limit fragmentation of rural land and avoid subdivisions that may impact the right to farm. So the fragmentation part of it, to me, is what really sticks this, what really brings this application undone. We are creating a smaller lot in a larger rural lot. It creates two lots, and as Councillor Hickey has said, and as Councillor Beard has also said, there is grey areas regarding the larger lot as to what may happen on that larger lot. And we can't work in the grey areas, like Councillor Beard has said. We can only work on what's happening right here, right now. But I don't think that is enough of confidence for me to say that something will not happen. And the potential of the conflict of the smaller rural lot of the fragmentation of this land is the noise, the dust, the spraying and the stock movements of that person that may move into that home. They will not understand what farming operations are all about. So so that is a huge concern of mine, knowing what may or may not happen. But Corangamite is one of the most productive agricultural regions in Victoria. Agriculture underpins our economy, our employment and our identity. And so we've recently adopted strategies enforcing that agriculture is the backbone of our Shire. So We need to support agriculture going forward, and that's what we're doing, and maintaining the integrity of our farming zone, and in preventing fragmentation. So I'll be supporting the officer's recommendation on those grounds. Councillor Canady, did you have anything further you'd wish to say to wrap it up?
No, I think we've covered all matters well
All
enough.
right. With that, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion carried. Thanks. Moving on to Officer's Report 9.1. Quarterly Council Plan Initiative Progress 1, 1st of October to the 31st of December 2025. Ms Black.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The initiatives are derived from the Council Plan, a strategic document which sets out the priorities and direction of the Council. This report outlines Council's progress against these initiatives for the second quarter, 1st of October to 31st of December 2025. There are 68 initiatives covering the areas of policy, plan or strategy, service and advocacy. As at the 31st of December, of the 68 initiatives, 9 were completed, 54 are in progress and 5 were still yet to be started. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Black. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Vogels. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Look, there's not too much to say. It's a great reflection of operationally of how the organisation is tracking. It's extremely positive, and I guess it's a reflection that the organisation is consistently remaining focused. And when you look at what in the past few weeks alone, with the multiple fires that we've had happening, you can see that consistency around business as usual still being attended to. It's pretty formidable, and we often say that this is one of the best things about Corangamite Shire and the organisation is the staff's they just get in there and do things. A lot of this can also come down to, particularly with works and services, and there's outside projects can come down to weather. And we've probably had a pretty good season around road making. I'm looking at our Works and Services Director, but that also helps when we're getting achievements like that. But you can't discount the fact that as an organisation, we do get stuff done. So again, tracking positively, the organisation needs to be congratulated. We get to sit here and obviously help with selecting what projects get to happen each year, but ultimately the work gets done by the staff. So just a huge congratulations to the organisation.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and like Councillor Beard, more than pleased with the what's in the report, and I think just demonstrates that we've got responsible oversight, transparency, and a steady implementation of our things going forward. So, yeah, more than happy to second that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any other comments? No. Put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.2, councillor attendance at the 2026 Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly. Ms Black.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider councillor representatives for attendance at the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly, known as the NGA. Each year, the Australian Local Government Association organises the NGA in Canberra. This year, it will be held from Tuesday the 23rd to Thursday the 25th of June. The theme for this year's Congress is Stronger Together, Resilient, Productive, United. Typically, councillors send a delegation to attend and report back on matters that are discussed, resolved or debated on at the Assembly. As the cost is expected to be over $3,000 per delegate, council resolution is required to approve expenditure in accordance with its support for councillor professional development policy. An assessment of attendance at the Assembly against policy has been conducted and it's included in the report. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Black. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Vogel. Councillor Hickey. Sorry.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Happy to move this recommendation, and I do so with a fear of missing out, of FOMO. Having attended the conference last year, it's a very worthwhile event. There was some 1,500 delegates from across Australia, all from different backgrounds, from Metro, from far north, Northern Territory, to actually bring together a meeting of people from very many backgrounds. And I guess what Canberra is all about, I think it means meeting place or something like that, I think, from memory. And it is genuinely a meeting of ideas. So being involved with this is a great benefit to Corangamite Shire, and the fact that we're supporting it with our councillors is great. And those who are going can rest assured that Councillor Vogels and Councillor Beard and myself will keep the home fires burning and hold the fort down.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey, for that reassurance. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You're more than happy to second this one. I think it's a chance to push our priorities at a federal level and build networks and bring back ideas that you pick up from the people we talk to. And I did note that the theme for this year is stronger together, resilient, productive, united, and that sort of fits us to a T, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Well said. And any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.3, flying of the flags policy. Miss Black.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The purpose of this item is to provide a review and recommendation on changes to Council's flying of flags policy. Council currently flies the Australian flag, the Australian Aboriginal flag, and the Corangamite Shire flag at the front of the Civic Centre offices in Camperdown in accordance with Australian national flag protocols. There has been a community flagpole installed in the garden bed at the east side of the Camperdown Courthouse to accommodate requests from the community to mark days of significance and to support community campaigns or international days of note. Adjustments have been made to the flying of flags policy to recognise that this flagpole has now been installed. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Miss Black. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The changes to this policy are quite small, and it's in fitting with the Australian national flag protocol. However, I just thought I'd want to take the opportunity to answer some questions that were asked of me yesterday about why the flags are flown in the order that they are. So I'll just use this opportunity to be able to say that the Australian national flag should always be positioned for the far left from a perspective of the observer facing the flags. Just think about that. So the observer's view means that when you're standing in front of a building, the Australian flag is on the far left, and from a thoroughfare, the Australian flag is on the far left as well. So I hope that makes it perfectly clear, and I'm happy to support this policy's change.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it is a strange one having a flag flying policy, but anyway, we do because we have so many flags now. We should have one anyway. I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other comments? Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the support of the mover and the seconder, can I just make a couple of amendments, which are just small ones? On page 2 of the policy under the special days, under Anzac Day and Remembrance Day, it should read the Australian, Australian Aboriginal and Corangamite Shire flags. In both those cases, it's just a couple of words that are missing, if that's okay.
So the mover and seconder are okay with those? Yep, we've got approval. Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Continue. Anything else?
No, that's all. That was fine. The rest of it's great.
All right, thank you. No other comments. I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to 9.4, S6 Instrument of Delegation Council to Council Staff. Miss Black.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The S6 Instrument of Delegation delegates powers from Council to members of Council staff relating to duties and functions within various acts and regulations or specific parts of those acts and regulations. Regular reviews are conducted and the instrument is updated to ensure compliance with legislative changes. This review carries forward amendments which were implemented in December 2025 in the S6A instrument, which was introduced to address specific changes to the Planning Environment Act 1987. As a result of these changes, the S6A instrument has been subsumed into the S6 instrument and is no longer required. Mayor, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Miss Black. You got through that very well with lots of S's and sixes and S's and A's. So well done. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Vogels. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and I'm sure you're thinking no one was probably going to move a motion for this one, but look, it's really important. We obviously meet once a month and there's only so much we can do in terms of our voting in the chamber, or the rest has to be done under delegation, or else council business would move even slower than potentially what it already does, which is through no fault of our own most of the time. Very procedural. It needs to have those changes due to the review of the Planning Environment Act. So just implementing pretty much some typo things as far as I'm concerned. So in saying that, if we didn't have delegations, we wouldn't be very productive or efficient council. So where would we be without them? So happy to move that one. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Beard. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Backing Councillor Beard. I had a brain fade there. Yeah, sorry, Councillor Beard. Yeah, and it's also important that delegations to positions, not to people. So the change of staff and everything still keeps rolling and the wheels keep turning.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.5, 2021 to 2025 Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan Evaluation and Final Report. Ms James.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. The report of the 2021 to 2025 Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan is required by the Local Government Act 2020 and represents the actions, achievements and barriers of the plan, and was supported by the Healthy Well Corangamite Leadership Group. From successfully obtaining funding for our Free From Violence program to supporting health promotion activities, such as events designed to support farmer mental health, the plan represented Council's commitment to promoting the health and wellbeing of Corangamite residents throughout their life, and aligns with our Council vision that Corangamite is a thriving, healthy, fully interconnected community of people of all ages. Mayor, the report is before you.
Thank you, Ms James. Council, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Beard, thank you. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, when I was reading through this report, I just couldn't help feeling really proud that during its life, this plan over the past 4 years has been active, evolving, responsive, and I would say very successful. There have been 63 wide-ranging actions, of which 62 have been achieved or in progress across our 4 community goals and the whole spectrum of age groups. So it's been taking care of everybody in our community. I noticed that the review identifies some challenge in the data collection that is, I understand, is being addressed through other sources. But again, that's just another indicator of how connected our team is in ensuring that this plan is delivered in the best possible way to our community, because they're so invested in making sure that we get everything right. And data collection is a very important element because obviously we learn a lot from that, and it certainly goes, it's an important element actually in developing a plan. I know that you have developed a new one, which I think we've actually adopted, haven't we, already, the new one? Yes, but I just think this has been a great success and, completely impressive. Like so many actions here, and yeah, I was really, really impressed with the breadth of them, and just how it's just swept in all age groups. So I'm very proud of it. Certainly support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. It's always nice when we get to this point to be able to reflect on the amount of work that's been achieved through these municipal documents, and we're governed to have to do these when we're first put in as a council, no different to our council plan, but these are ones that have real tangible outcomes for our entire community. So it's great to be able to reflect upon how much has actually been achieved, but it's also around how we align with not just what's happening here in Corangamite, but what's also happening at a state level and how we can partner on so many levels. A significant one that we know, and it's an unfortunate one, has been around, a community that prevents family violence, and our stance and our commitment to what can we do as a council and as an organisation to play our part in that, in something that socially and across I think the world, you could pretty much say now is such an evident issue. But the fact that we had multiple stakeholders partner with us, we had engagement through many layers within our community to achieve so many activities across the life of this plan, particularly in that space. And it's become it's just the normal now in anything that we do as an organisation, that we've always got that in the back of our minds about that, particularly around prevention of family violence. So it's socially, it's acceptable. Like, that's just what's expected of us now. So many things when you look through what's been achieved around the projects, it's pretty significant. There's minimal things. I think there's only 12, I think I read, of things that have been started but not fully completed. But it's significant, and so that's just a shout out to not only the team that oversees the implementation of the plan and we review the actions from year to year, but it's the entire organisation that back that plan, because there's so many crossovers between departments, and even just the education that's being provided within the organisation through development for professional development that then goes out into our community as well. I personally have attended some of the events that have gone on for the community through these activities, and they're things that you learn about that you would never learn about otherwise. So if we didn't have the opportunities that the Shire provides. So shout out to the team. There's a lot, which we've certainly said, but to think that there's only one that hasn't been able to start, and that's not dependent on us. That's because of the external stakeholders. That's why. It's a real credit.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any other comments? Councillor Constraint?
Yeah, just following on from Councillor Beard, and I just want to send a big shout out to Manager Katie Hearn and her team, who they've done a power of work when you read through this, and so much work, as you mentioned, Councillor Beard, in the family violence area, and we see that while numbers are increasing, it's probably because of the reporting is increasing, that it's coming out from behind closed doors. So the number of initiatives that have been set up by the team has been fabulous, and it goes right through from early years, tiny babies, right through to our positive ageing and inclusion team. They all do a great job, and I was interested to see that there's strengthening sessions for the older people in the community. So it's just these small things that can make people's lives a lot better. If they have a fall, they're able to get back up again. It's certainly a really good testament of the terrific staff that we have and being able to deliver this number of programs in that time. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Constraint. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Move on to item 9.6, evaluation of disability access and inclusion plan 2021 to 2025. Miss James.
Through you, Mayor. The report of the 2021-2025 Disability Access and Inclusion Plan outlines the achievements, barriers and actions undertaken to ensure people living with a disability are fully able to participate in community life in the Corangamite Shire. The plan met the requirements of the Victorian Disability Act and enabled Council to provide a holistic approach to accessibility inclusion, and through the plan's reference group chaired by Councillor Joe Beard, a voice in how the actions of the plan were undertaken. The plan focused on strength-based actions, celebrating the contribution that people living with a disability make to our communities, strengthening our understanding of inclusion and providing support for increased infrastructure support, such as accessible parking spots, mobility scooter recharge points throughout the Shire. Mayor, the report is before you.
Thank you, Ms James. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard?
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. I think that was an obvious one considering my name was just mentioned, but can I first of all say thanks, Ms James, for that. It's been a really positive report, so thank you for authoring that on our behalf and presenting that. I really want to say how it's pretty special that this was our first ever disability access and inclusion plan that as a council that we were able to see through. That was in itself was pretty special that we as a council committed to supporting such a project. So that's something that I think now I think we've got it cemented in, and it's just become way of life for Corangamite now. So that's made me really proud to think that that's where we've got to. The final evaluation, it's a great reflection, just like our public health and municipal public health and wellbeing plan. It's a great time to be able to sit back and reflect on the amount of work that's gone into such a program, or a plan, I should say, and the crossover of multiple departments. A highlight for me was being able to chair the reference group, which it was just under a year into this plan being adopted that then we're able to initiate that reference group. and having Patrick Cariana here with us, who is our Rural Access Officer. Patrick, we wouldn't have got through majority of these projects without your support and just your tenacity around your commitment to it. The fact that you were continually making yourself better professionally to better service the community is a standout. So thank you for supporting me in my role in helping our reference group. Having lived experience, people sitting around a table and sharing their thoughts, ideas, it's really empowering, particularly the Hampton P12 College, like having the students involved and the staff. That was a real game changer for us. It really had us put a different lens on how we looked at certain projects and how we looked even at how our communities were, the built environment particularly, and what we as adults were missing. So having the kids' involvement has been a real breath of fresh air. I think the main reason of the plan was also to make sure that we had equality for our communities and that they had the appropriate access to services, facilities, and the planning comms, just like we all expect, but it's also with the dignity that people deserve. So for me, it's really, I just feel I'm a better counsellor for it, that we've had this plan, and now we've committed to an amalgamation of not only disability access, but we've also now got the positive ageing, so we're all in one. And I feel like for us, we're going to be better for moving forward. And the momentum we've now got, I think we're going to see some even more incredible projects being ticked off. But to the staff, thank you again. When we talk about access, and I should have brought it up before, we talked about even the built form with footpaths. I mean, our commitment to just what we build now is there's a real strategy behind it. We're not just thinking, oh, because it's something we have to do, it's because it's the right thing to do, because there's people that can't access transport. So how about we build more footpaths? I mean, I just like how we think now, and that's a whole organisation approach. So I could go on all day, and I shouldn't, because you'll all be sick of me, but so many great initiatives, even the scooter charging points. We've even got our first scooter I'd like to say car park, like line marking in Cobden, which was pretty cool. I don't know of any other places that I've been to have got outlines for actual scooters to park in front of the supermarket, but some really exciting projects have happened already. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey?
Thank you, Mayor. Delighted to second this, and there's certainly no doubt the Disability Access and Inclusion Plan for 21-25 has given myself personally enormous insight into the workings of this plan, and I know full well when Councillor Beard was chairing this brief that it was always going to be kept very much on target, and the delivery plan was going to be adhered to. So to Kerry James and to Katie and to Patrick, the plan had 34 measures, and when you look at the dial, there's 33 of them have been completed and one in progress, with a small amount of time to go still. So the work that has been done has been very, very well, and congratulations. And I think it's a great document, and look forward to the next 4 years of what we can develop from this too. So happy to second this.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Any other comments? Sorry, I'm going to butt in for
No, go for it.
Sorry. I think the highlight for me has been the strong involvement with the Hampton P12 College, and I think that's come through you, Patrick, and your involvement in that. So the students created artwork that toured the Shire, which is the travelling art show, which was fantastic. But also the paint and chat, the Christmas in July, and the what's hot at the op shop. You may think it's just a fashion event, but it actually brought students and the seniors together, which I thought was a pretty neat idea, and just integrated everyone together and understanding what we can all do together. And we're all just this one big happy family, I suppose you could say. But I too, like you, Joe, the rechargeable scooter spots are very cool, and I think Cobden having their first one line marked out is very neat. But that just shows that we're trying to be inclusive for everyone in the Shire, and this is just another way of going forward. The dementia awareness event held here at the Civic Centre, that was a great way of bringing that to people's minds as well, dementia, and it's getting more and more prevalent in our community, but we need to be more and more aware of what's going on as well. and having some training done for our staff under the disability awareness training for staff and leadership was really a great initiative by this council as well. Just making sure everyone is feeling included and knowing where they can go with those things as well. But Councillor Beard, I also want to acknowledge you for chairing the Disability Access and Inclusion Reference Group. Your leadership in this space has been thoughtful, steady and deeply values driven. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your commitment to ensuring inclusion remains front of mind for everyone and the centre of our work. So thank you for the work that you've done, and thank you to Katie, thank you to Patrick for being on that as well. It really just shows to us that we are now putting this in at our front of our mind now whenever we are doing something to make sure it is there. We are making everything available for everyone in this community. So thank you again, team, and thank you for that other report as well, Miss James as well, and Katie and Patrick for doing that one as well. It's been a power of work by your whole team, so you all need to be congratulated by that. So thank you for that, really do appreciate it. But I'm happy to support this recommendation and this plan going forward, so thank you for that. If there's...
So just through you, Matt, and it's remiss of me not to mention Belinda Rowbottom and Lisa Best, who like Kerry and Katie and Patrick were at every reference group meeting. They were always there, and always whatever was decided, always followed up with those projects as well. We just having lived experience people around the table, and I think it's a reminder for us that disability isn't something we always have to see. It can be invisible, and I think that's something as an organisation we're getting really better at understanding at where our role fits. So I'm grateful to the crew, and that crossover, as I said again, through departments because of the work that gets done is pretty phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. No other comments? I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We move on to item 9.7, the quarterly finance report. Mr. Jayawardanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, the purpose of this report is to note Council's current financial results and financial position as at 31st December 2025 and seek approval for the changes done to the budget as part of the mid-year budget review process. Overall, council surplus is higher than budgeted by about 923,000 on cash basis. The explanations for the variances are on page 227, which is largely driven by savings in material and services due to delays in projects and some staffing constraints. The details of the changes to the budget are on page 232 to 234. The recommendations are before you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jayawardanda. Council, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Constrain, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Canadian, Councillor Constrain.
I'm happy to move, Madam Mayor, with the changes unfavourable to the review budget. I think it's quite clear how that's occurred, and I don't think it's anything to be too worried about at this point of the financial year. The rest of the report's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Constrain. Councillor Canadian.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Constrain has stated it in a very clear way. The budget is only ever an expectation of expenditure over a given period, and not everything can be anticipated. And I think we saw that, with the explanations around the employee benefits, especially. We know our budget's been well controlled because we've been told why these variations have occurred, and the explanations are very, very clear. We know that some of them will not be ongoing. We know that they're going to be offsets maybe in the next quarter or the quarter after that. So, we have a clear explanation around why these variations have occurred. And we know what the impact or the opportunity might be even for the remaining 2 quarters of the year. So despite all that, we have now got a projected cash position that is going to be, somewhat lower than what we previously predicted, but the revised cash surplus for year end remains at a healthy 9.7 million. So I'm very happy to support the recommendation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.8, the Business Assistance Scheme applications, February 2026. Miss Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are 4 applications under Stream 1 Business Facade Improvements that have been assessed and are recommended for assistance to be considered by Council for determination. Those applications are from Daryl Andrew Burns, trading as Under the Elms Bookshop in Camperdown. This is for a new business identification signage, and the funding assistance requested is $1,771.48, together with a planning permit fee waiver of $226.50, both of those amounts excluding GST. The next is for Progressing Cobden Inc., trading as the Cobden Visitor Information Centre. This is for a new business identification signage, cleaning and painting. Funding assistance requested is for $2,783.50, together with a planning permit fee waiver also of $226.50, both excluding GST. The third is from My Journey Support Services Proprietary Limited, trading as the Jaffel Kitchen in Camperdown. This is for new business identification signage, and the funding assistance requested is $2,130 and a planning permit waiver fee of $226.50, again, both excluding GST. And finally, the trustee for Lehan Family Trust, registered as Lehan's Country Meats Proprietary Limited in Terang. This is for a new business identification signage and window decals, and the funding assistance requested is for $1,335 and a planning permit fee waiver of $226.50, both excluding GST. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Miss Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Castrain.
I'm very excited about this motion, Madam Mayor. 2 new businesses in Camperdown in the main street, so it's fantastic. This is a really great initiative, the Business Assistance Scheme, the fact that it's a rolling scheme and businesses can apply anytime throughout the year. I think it's a fairly easy process for them to apply for, and I think we've seen some really excellent outcomes in our streetscapes particularly. So happy to move.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, happy to second these applications too. It is great to see some new businesses taking place. And just a reminder that all these applications are assessed on their merit, and they need to meet eligibility. And so congratulations to these 4 businesses who have done so. And just remind everybody that there is help along the way to help set up a new business that's always available through the team if they contact the Shire office.
No worries. Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Any other comments? I will just mention that there's a little bit of kitty left in the funding, just over 25,000. So if you need something, just make sure you get in there and get that help where required, and contact the council and see what we can do for you. So if there's no other comments, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item 9.9, the Corangamite Youth Strategy 2026 to 2030 Implementation Plan. Miss Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Youth Strategy provides a framework for Council to engage with and provide development opportunities for Corangamite's young people between the ages of 12 and 25 years over the next 4-year period. The strategy will be implemented alongside the Council Plan, the Community Vision and the Grow and Prosper framework. During the development of the strategy and as part of the co-design process, Council sought input and feedback from youth, the youth sector, community, councillors and staff through various engagement activities. The draft strategy also provides for public consultation and has been adjusted where appropriate based on that feedback from the community. The strategy's overall value statement is Youth Voices Matter, and this value will be realised by recognising that you don't hit your notes midway through, recognising the value of youth input towards the impacts of outputs from the 5 categories as highlighted in our council plan. And those 5 categories are community, which is a community that enables healthy, active and resilient living. Economy, which is a growing and prosperous economy. Infrastructure, quality infrastructure and community connections. 4, environment, protection and enhancement of our environment. And 5, leadership, which is strong civic leadership. The strategy and the proposed implementation plan for the next year are provided in the council report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Cole. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Canady. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the oldest member of the Youth Committee, I think this is a great thing to move. It's a really tough one especially in the north of the Shire, where the distances are so great. When you're a young person to get around, you have to ask someone to get you there or something. It's a lot harder. If we can break down these barriers and make it easier and get people out of, especially if socialising between the north and the south of the Shire, because it is a vast area, it's a great thing. There's some good initiatives in here, and I'm all in favour of helping youth get around and get to sporting options, get to non-sporting options, get to all sorts of things. It only enhances their enjoyment of the area and their ability to grow and learn things. So I'm more than happy to move this.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a really important strategy in terms of our youth. I mean, it's one that's built around providing support to our youth, to encouraging them and engaging them, because they are our future. I'm really pleased that they took an extensive part in the development of the strategy, that they were listened to, and that their input has been valued, because we do care about the development of our youth. We care about their opportunities. So I think that we've got a great plan here, and I look forward to seeing the results of its implementation.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Any other comments? Councillor Constrain.
Just make the quick comment, Madam Mayor. I think it's a great strategy. It's so clear and easy to read. It's very user friendly. I think they've done an amazing job, and I just wanted to mention the great numbers of people who've taken part in the surveys and discussions, and added the quotes that run through the strategy are incredibly mature and very insightful. So well done to all those involved in putting the strategy together.
Thank you, Councillor Constrain. I think this strategy is just more than a document. It's a commitment to our young people aged 12 to 25 that it's a clear statement that their voices matter. As we've heard around the table, we've heard from more than 520 young people across the Shire through different forums, which is fantastic. They've engaged with us with this strategy. And so it generally reflects the diverse voices of our young people, students, young workers, employers, sector staff, volunteers, members, everyone involved. So it's a true co-design process, and I actually saw firsthand how powerful some of these conversations can be with hosting breakfast with the Mayor. So it was great to have those conversations that were very open and honest, and they clearly told us what their needs and wants are, which is really, really important. And it also aligns with our council plan to focus on the 5 key areas Ms Lindley said: community, economy, infrastructure, environment and leadership. But it sets out practical initiatives from improving transport options, as Councillor Cole has already mentioned, and walking connections, to supporting environmental actions, youth leadership programs and meaningful participation in council decision making. But importantly, this is not just a vision. It will be delivered through annual action plans over the next 4 years. And as Councillor Constrain has already said, this document is a very easy read. It's one of the easiest of reading strategies that I've seen going around for quite some time, and we do quite a few of them here at the council, that is for sure. But it's easy if you pick it up, you know what's in there, you know what we've committed to, we know what we're working, who we're working with, and how we can make things happen for the youth. So I'm very proud of the way our young people have stepped up during this process. They spoke honestly about their works, what doesn't, and what they need in the future. But I think if anything it takes to me is that youth voices matter, not just in consultation, but in action. So I look forward to seeing, as Councillor Canady has also said, seeing this strategy brought to life over the next 4 years. So again, thank you to everyone who participated. It's been a lot of work, but thank you to the youth team as well, putting this strategy together. I'm really proud of this document, that is for sure. So there's no other comments. I put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.10, 2025 to 2026 quarterly project status update, December 2025. Mr. Broadbent.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report provides an update on the status of the projects across the capital and operational programs up to December 2025. There is a total of 213 projects across the infrastructure renewal, asset upgrades, community facility improvements and strategic initiatives. The approved capital works program totals $23.7 million, representing a significant component of Council's overall annual expenditure. Year-to-date capital expenditure of $4.59 million is slightly ahead of the forecast budget of $4.32, reflecting efficient project delivery rather than any cost overruns. Project milestones are generally being achieved within planned timeframes, with minor variations primarily due to procurement lead times, contractor availability and statutory approvals. No material risks or budget deviations have been identified at this stage that will significantly impact the overall program of delivery. Of the 213 projects, 35% have been completed to date, with a further 59% currently underway, demonstrating strong delivery performance at the mid-year point. It is recommended that Council notes this report on the status of the 25-26 capital and operational program. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Broadbent. Councillor, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain, Councillor Vogels, Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I was just looking at the risk consideration as part of this report, and it had delivery of capital and operating program to scale carries inherent risks, including procurement delays, contractual availability, statutory approvals, grant funding, and cost escalation pressures. It doesn't mention bushfires.
No.
And I think that up to the 31st of December, we're certainly well on track, Mr. Broadbent, in completing, 76 of those 213 projects have been completed. But I imagine that in light of the bushfires in the last month or so, that things are perhaps going to be a little bit different at the next report. But there's been a lot of work completed. There's still a fair bit to go. But well done to the teams who are delivering these operational and capital projects.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Vogels.
Well, thank you through you, Madam Mayor. This is a substantial program with 213 projects, and it's pleasing to see it tracking strongly at the halfway mark. Importantly, though, these aren't just numbers on a page, that we're seeing real outcomes delivered from the Camperdown to Timboon Rail Trail bridges, Tandrail Park, Hamden tennis courts, tennis club rooms, Timboon Children's Centre shade sale, Skipton Hall rewiring and road upgrades that we're seeing across the Shire. These are all the things that we're seeing play out as these projects get completed. So thanks Sean and the Works and Services team for managing the program. It's large scale for a small rural Shire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Any other comments? Councillor Hickey?
Thanks, Mayor. I read this through and I wrote on the bottom of it, not just words. So there really does look like there is something definitely happening here, having 36% of our total projects being completed and 59 well and truly along the way. $23.7 million is a significant amount from our budget, and it would be a fairly massive job to be able to procure or to make all the procurements and to actually see oversight the project. So well done to Sean and of course the team that he has, and yes, you have proven it's not just words.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Any other comments? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, other business. Councillors, is there any other business you would like to raise? No, we're clear. Okay. I'll move on to item 11. I open for Mr. CEO, Mr. Ray. Is there any questions online?
Madam Mayor, there's no questions from the online audience.
We have a few people in the gallery today. Would anyone like to jump up and have... Sure. Jump up, state your name, and you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Les Mulholland, I stand here before you to represent the Cobden Airstrip of Management and the Cobden Aero Club. And I'd like to thank the councillors and the council for the heart defibrillator. It has been installed now, and not only that, the fire extinguisher has been upgraded. And these are the sort of things that make my heart feel that this is what the Shire's all about, because we can all live together in peace, love and harmony when things like the heart defibrillator and fire extinguishers are put in place, because we don't want to see them used, but when they are used, we think that they're there, and I thank you all very much for it being installed.
Thank you, Mr. Mulholland. State your name, 5 minutes. 2 questions.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, councillors and other members here. My name is Jake McKenzie. I'm a Second Lieutenant and OHS Officer for the Camperdown Fire Brigade. Firstly, I'd like to thank councillors for your acknowledgement of volunteer firefighters in the previous meeting regarding our current fire season. The members have been working extremely hard in impacted areas of recent bushfires across our area and neighbouring regions. 2 months ago, I sent a detailed report outlining serious concerns regarding the condition, marking and mapping of fire hydrant plugs across the township of Camperdown. This is the 5th year that I have personally submitted a formal report on this issue. However, these concerns have been formally raised by other members of the previous leadership for many years. So this is not a new issue. It's not a one-off oversight. It's a long-standing infrastructure concern that remains unresolved. Despite repeated formal reporting, the overall conditions of many plugs have not improved and in some areas deteriorated. Our most recent inspection identified 37 plugs with no visible identification markers at all, dozens missing parts or locked off, multiple plugs actively leaking, several that cannot be located despite appearing on official maps, others that physically exist but are not on recorded maps, plugs that are inaccessible due to parking or placement, and plugs positioned so deep that our hydrant equipment cannot physically reach them. These are not minor technical defects. When we arrive at a structure fire, we do not have the luxury of time. Seconds matter. Crews rely on accurate mapping and visible indicators to locate water immediately. When a plug cannot be found, is buried, leaking, unmapped, too deep or parked over, it delays water supply. Delays cost property, and in worst case, they can cost lives. We understand that the management and infrastructure management is complex and shared between agencies. We're not here to criticise just for the sake of it. But after years of constant reporting, acknowledgement is no longer enough. We are asking for accountability, clear actions and defined timeframes. So my questions would be, after years of documented reporting, why has there not been an improvement? What is the specific coordinated plan to rectify these deficiencies? What timeframe can we expect? And how will progress be tracked, communicated to ensure this does not become another year of reporting the same issues? We are simply asking for reliable, compliant infrastructure so we can do our job effectively and safely to protect lives, property and this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ray?
Madam Mayor, thank you. Through you, Mr. McKenzie, thanks for your deputation. Certainly do acknowledge receipt of your correspondence in recent months. I guess the focus of the organisation, as you'll appreciate, since the 9th of January has been on relief and recovery efforts, and the team that would ordinarily look deep into those matters has their attention elsewhere. So I think you'd appreciate that. I'm happy, Mayor, to have a conversation with Mr. McKenzie following the meeting and actually provide a more detailed response to the questions he's asked today.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you very much. On that note, there's no other people in the gallery. That's fine. I just call for a motion to suspend standing orders, please. Can I have Councillor Vogels, Councillor Beard? Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. Really